Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm so pleased to be joined by casting directors Justine Arteta and Kim Davis-Wagner, Emmy nominated for the Amazon series Daisy Jones and the Six, in outstanding casting for a limited or anthology series or movie. It's a mouthful, but it's so great. And I just want to guys, congratulations. And like, when you guys found out you were nominated, I mean, how did you kind of respond, and what was that like for you both?
It's exciting, especially hearing you just say it just right then. I just got so excited, like it was new information.
It's so true.
Right?
We found out from Lauren Levy-Newstadter, that fabulous Lauren at Hello Sunshine. She texted us, so we had no idea. Kim and I our brains don't focus up on those kinds of things, so we weren't like, oh, maybe we just it didn't even cross our minds. So we found out in the morning, and we texted each other and we're like, what?
It's really amazing. You both have done so much great work as casting directors and stuff. I don't need to go through your resumes, but you've worked on so many great projects. This one obviously feels like such a challenge, and like you're kind of have to balance so many different things. Obviously, like the fact that it's a beloved novel that was an adaptation. You have to find new actors who could believably be performers. You have to find actors who could believably play a band that has like a shared history and all these different things. It seems incredibly complicated. So I guess, like, where did you start? I mean, where'd you even like think of to start for this project?
Oh
They
my
really
goodness.
wanted to start, didn't they, Kim? They wanted to start with musicians that could act, because Gaga had just come out in A Star Is Born. And so they, the thought was, well, there might be more where, that this could be a thing where there's so many musicians that are brilliant actors, And so that was the focus for them. And then, so we're very lucky, a couple of our band members are legitimate musicians. Josh Whitehouse and Suki Waterhouse, House. And
And Nabia too. So
and
not in the
Nadia,
band, but
she's not in the
separately.
band, but she's a beautiful musician. But
Mm.
then we quickly realized that the journey that particularly sort of Billy and Daisy need to go on, it was almost there with so many people. And that's the beautiful thing about casting. People do unbelievable work to the part and they get so close, but it just isn't quite right, Kim. It's that kind of thing of like, I think people think when they didn't get the part, they did such a crap job, and it's just not the case. They could have just something was just off, and so we saw so many great people. We just went digging and digging and digging and digging all across the world. And then Riley Keough came up here in Los Angeles and made all of our jobs so much better.
And how?
I guess, like, thinking so like all of that sounds really good. I guess with Riley, like, and just like both of you in general, like you're saying, they're like people are coming so close, and like obviously I'm sure you see like dozens and countless amount of talented people. Is it just like, do you know when Riley, like for Daisy specific, like that part, did you know like right away? Like, was there something like, how do you know? Like, I guess as casting directors, like, you just feel it? Is it like kind of ineffable? Like, what is it for, like, to know what you're casting the right person, and that Riley, obviously an Emmy nominee as well, would be so great in this part?
I think there's just it's an unspoken, unknowable, intangible thing that just is. And you turn around to the producers and everybody is sort of like, for want of a better word, gobsmacked when the right person for the part shows up. And even if there are, a few things that need to be finely tuned, Riley had to get into some class for singing and what have you. It just, right. I mean, she just was Daisy. And she knew it too, I mean,
It was pretty clear. We were all having like an outer body experience as, being in the room with her and realizing what was happening in front of our very eyes and what she was bringing at that moment. And like, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I read an interview with her where she was like, I think she like just knew that she would play like Daisy. It felt like very like Kismet almost, right, for her, I guess. So I guess that kind of confidence helps too in the audition then.
It certainly did. And you could feel it. And then just also the fact that she was, gifting us with her voice and sharing her voice with us and everybody for the first time just felt like an unimaginable present, like that was just like You
Yeah.
have that voice in that inside you that's existing, and nobody knows it. Like, it felt like unreal.
Then she did have to be put through her paces, and she did it, with gusto, and she did everything that they asked her to do. That she went and did all the class that it just is so beautiful when you see actors meet a challenge, and meet it full on. I mean, nothing on Daisy was easy. Nothing. No, not one job of the hundreds of production jobs into the acting job. Like, just not, I don't think any person's job on this show was easy, but everybody just sleeves up, rolled their sleeves up and said, let's get this sorted.
When you're dealing with a book, like I mentioned before, that's so beloved, right? And that the readers then have such like probably an attachment to the characters and have built kind of thoughts on how they're going to look and like how they're supposed to sound and all these different things. How do you do you worry about that when you're casting the show, or you kind of like have to put that aside because you're really looking for the best person and the best actor or actress for the role?
I mean,
about everything.
We do. We do. Our department, we do. We're like, what is it? And there is quite a leap of faith, right, Justine? It's like that, like, we know in our department, like, everybody had to like bring their everything in their A game. And there was an element of trust that like the producers hired just all the other departments, that were also going to bring their A game and do the roles and do the costuming and do everything such justice. So definitely leap of faith, but just also, I think with, so many wonderful producers and talented people at the helm also, like, it just was it was a real collaboration, a real confab and collaboration.
It's true, isn't it, Kim? It's like the person comes in and it's not just the acting that we're looking for. You are visualizing them within the realms of the story. And so we worry, to harken back to the worry. It's like everything is, you want to, as you're reading them in a sort of dirty little audition room that they've rented for you cheap, and these actors come and they put their best foot forward in this room and it's all of it. It's you have to visualize them within the story, and you can see their hair, like all of that stuff. Kim and I talk about it ad nauseum. You can be like, okay, we can see the whole. Not only was it like a sucker punch to the chest to see that reading, but you can also feel that. And what's so beautiful in casting is when somebody surprises you and you think maybe that they're not quite right for this part, but they're such a wonderful actor, let's give it a whirl, and they come in and they pull your head off. And casting is consistently one of the most beautiful jobs that you could possibly ever be in, because you are in the room with such insane amounts of talent and trust, and they're willing to give their talent to you in that little grotty room. And they're willing to give you that trust for that 20 minutes or half an hour, or sometimes when you're in with producers a little longer. But it's a mesmerizing job to be witness to that.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun, certainly, at least from my outsider vantage point. I wanted to ask you about casting Sam Claflin for Billy. Seemingly another would be very difficult, and I guess like I think you could have gone many different ways. I've read, like, obviously Sam did not have the most musical background, so he had to like really work hard. But I guess like maybe another leap of faith there. But how did you guys kind of like think about how Billy should look, and like why Sam was like right for that?
Gosh, it's again, it's like one of those things where he maybe wasn't the most obvious of choices, but he really seemed to rise to the occasion. And like when he was reading the words of Billy and suddenly like bringing just all the nuance and all the complexity and emotionality to that role, it was like, oh my fucking God. It's just like, oh shit. And sometimes as Justine said, it's like, we really it's such a surprising process on every level. You sometimes you just don't know. You're like on the edge of your seat in that moment, not knowing and hoping. And I mean, that's the other thing that we always like it to be known. It's like, as casting directors and as in our office, it's like, we want actors to get that part. Like, every single time, we're always rooting for you. We're always hoping that this is it, and that this is going to be your moment and our moment. And so the level, we really try to sort of hopefully let that be known, that like, we love and support actors.
But I think also, Kim, to tail back a little bit into the question, is that we needed Billy to be as mighty as Daisy, right? And so a lot of the musicians that were coming close to becoming the role of Billy didn't quite have that like meeting of the two strongest minded minds, right, of Daisy and Billy. And it's got to be that collision course of a love triangle that is so believable. So we realized later in the game that we needed somebody that had some, like, some stuff, and he has some stuff, whatever the stuff is, right? And we knew he couldn't sing, so that was like terrifying to everybody, but we knew that he had the stuff to meet her as Billy and her as Daisy. And so that was a brilliant jumping off point for everybody. And so then he had to get in with Tony and Blake in Sound City and work his butt off, which he did. And he met the requirements again. He just went for it with gusto. And then COVID happened, so his hair got to grow, and it was like amazing and beautiful, and nobody had to wear a bloody wig, and lucky us, and Bob's your uncle, that was it. So he had so that was sort of to answer your question, we needed somebody that could.
Yeah, I mean, and he did a great job singing, because I still listen to the album, and it's like, he's great. His voice is really good. He really did step up, and like, he sounds like a real singer, obviously, which he is, I guess, now, right? Because of all the
he is now.
He is now.
You mentioned the love triangle, and I guess I want to ask about Camilla Morrone too, who plays Camilla, obviously another Emmy nominee. So congratulations, another great casting. And that's a really tricky part, I think, and again, a beloved fan favorite, I think, from fans of the book or readers of the book. But like, also a tricky part, because she has to not be like, you're rooting for her, but I mean, I think in another story, maybe that's a different kind of character, or you're not, the audience is not going to really pull for her. Maybe she's like a doormat. It's not like that at all. It's a really tricky, I think, performance, and the way it's written is great. And I guess for you guys, like, I'd imagine that was challenging as well, but like, how did you kind of like think of that one? At least that one, maybe you don't have to worry about the musical acuity for that, but like, how was it to cast Camilla?
Well, Kim and I knew from the get-go that she was not going to be, because she's not written as the classic rock star wife, potential sort of like, like you just said, like, fans don't love the rock star's wife historically, she's getting in the way, that person's in the way, they're a shrew, they're a this, they're mean, that, whatever all the awful tropes are about that, So thank God the book and the script she was not written like that. She is the glue for this whole group of people. When Suki Waterhouse's character is potentially going to join the band, she tells Billy, let me talk to your wife. She doesn't want to, she's like, and so she's like, is what they're saying correct? Okay, what do you think? And it's like this woman that is connecting these women and these people in such a beautiful way. And so, yes, that was a challenge, because you have to find somebody. Yes, sure, the musical element is not there, but that's a challenge to find a woman like that. And Cammy Morrone is
she really, she knocked our socks off, and just
and she has that beautiful voice too.
Oh, it's like honey. It's just like you just want to listen to her, and she just completely brought it on every level.
We had seen her in an beautiful independent film called Mickey and the Bear. And so we already knew from watching her in that she had this quiet loveliness about her. She doesn't need to be because in the show, Daisy and Billy are so in your face, but she steals everybody's thunder in the most beautiful, quiet way, and that's her power. That's her superpower. you know, and yeah.
No, she's amazing. I love, and her performance. I mean, in the end, like I don't know, I tear up at the her last scene basically when she's older, playing the older version. It's just wonderful. It's a great performance, and it like really feels like a heart of one of the main beating hearts of the show is her character and stuff. You mentioned like seeing her and like Mickey in the mirror. I guess like you guys together, are you just in general as casting directors, do you watch like a ton of stuff, and are you always like keeping track of like this is a young actor or an actor who is not really popped that I don't know, haven't seen in anything, and like do you kind of like, and do you share that together? I guess obviously you guys are probably incredibly close, so I guess you probably do, but I mean, like, how does that process work for you? And like how often are you just kind of like intaking all that information basically of like all these great performances that maybe you're just seeing on TV or randomly or whatever it is?
Always.
Always. We're never not casting. I mean, Justine is like watches all of what she watches. I watch all of what I watch. We have a lot of overlap, but then there's like certain areas like Justine will like sort of lean more into like independent and art films, and sometimes I like lean into like more like action, like weird family, like but between the both of us, we sort of try to watch almost everything as much as possible. And we're constantly texting each other and like just keeping tabs on new actors coming up, and like, hey, did you see this person, and what about that person? And we really try to do our best to look at so many different performances and watch and look all the time, and even not even just in films and television, like in the real world also, because it sort of expands beyond just, film and TV. Like sometimes we're looking just at real people or artists and musicians. It's just such a big part of what we do and the world that we came up in. And so we're never not casting.
But it's never not. It's like, you ask your server, hey, what's your side hustle? Like, it's always interested. If somebody's interesting to you, at a restaurant, you like, hey, what's your side hustle? And sometimes they'll say, I don't have one. Or sometimes they'll say music. Sometimes they say acting. It's fascinating. Life is fascinating. People are fascinating. So if you're just out there being curious and just looking and seeing and finding and just talking to people, right? It's like maybe you see somebody that plays a terrifying character that you just go crazy for, and you can't wait to leave the theater or and look them up. And then you meet them, and then once you've met them in person and you talk to them, you realize there's this whole spectrum of characters that they could play. Like, I would love to see that person play this, that, and the other, so it's just, having a curiosity. And Kim and I have maintained, luckily together, that curiosity, because we always said the minute it's gone, let's call it quits, because we don't want to be those casting directors. We want to go out with a bang, knowing that we love it, that we love our job, right?
It's true. We stay curious, and you have to stay curious to to keep it fresh and to keep it fun.
And for your personal life, you do.
Yeah, in all the ways.
It's very true. I feel like that even doing this, that like I'm just always like, if I'm the minute I'm like not interested in it, I feel like it's gonna be bad. Like I'm always, that curiosity I think is really great. And obviously you guys have it and did it so well, so much of it, and we're so happy based on obviously all the work that you've done in this show as well, Daisy Jones and The Six. We have to wrap up here. Watch all the episodes on Amazon, and you guys are nominated again in outstanding casting for a limited or anthology series or movie. Congratulations again, and thank you so much. This was really great chatting.
Christopher, thank you so much. You're lovely, and we really appreciate your time too.
Really do. You have such a nice voice and great questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christopher. Bye, Lindsay.
Bye.